So we need to have a real conversation about this new live action Lilo and Stitch. Now, I have not seen the movie yet. I had no intention of really going to see the movie because I knew they were going to mess it up. I just knew they were going to mess it up. And that's why Disney and Indigenous stories don't go together. They don't. And you want to know why? Because Disney does not care about Indigenous people. They don't. They don't care where these Indigenous people come from. As we see right now, with what's going on overseas, they don't care where you're from. If you're Indigenous, they don't care about you. And so, of course, you're not going to tell our stories correctly. Now, we might get lucky with the Moana live action just because The Rock is in charge of that, but that's not even a guarantee. So, they decided to do a live action Lilo and Stitch, and from the moment they decided to do that, I was like, this is going to be a bad idea. Because I already am gearing up to boycott whenever they decide to do a live action Pocahontas. Because they're going to mess it up big time. They're going to mess it up big time. They already should not have ever made a cartoon out of it, but they're going to mess it up big time with live action. They are. And they've already done it with Lilo and Stitch. Now, again, I have not seen the live action yet, but from what I've been hearing online, they disrespected Lilo and Stitch so bad. And as somebody who is Black and Indigenous, no, this is this is 100% disrespectful to our Native Hawaiian brothers and sisters and their struggles on those islands that they are on. This is just disrespectful, okay? First of all, I'm hearing that the actress who plays Nani is not even Native Hawaiian. She's white and Filipino. No disrespect for the Filipinos. Love y'all down. But this is a Native Hawaiian story, which the main focus of the movie, besides the fact that it's supposed to be about found family and about being able to choose your own family, and families come in all different shapes and sizes and, different kinds of ways. It doesn't have to be a traditional family. Besides that, Lilo and Stitch is actually a story about colonization and tourism and the disrespect of Native Hawaiians on their own islands. And I'm hearing that they just disrespected that completely in this new live action by first not casting a Native Hawaiian woman to play Nani, even though there are so many who could have played her. They got Lilo correct, and I'll give you that. I love the actress who plays Little Lilo in this live action adaptation. She is extremely cute, so great. We love her. So they got one thing right. Protect her at all costs. She's great. Then I'm hearing that the ending of Lilo and Stitch is basically having Nani go to the mainland, go to California to study marine biology, and to leave Lilo behind with the neighbor or somebody. Ridiculous. Because in the original story, the whole point of Stitch coming was to make sure that Lilo and Nani were able to stay together. That was his whole purpose. He was also looking for a family, obviously, but his ultimate purpose was to help keep Lilo and Nani together. And for them to change that is ridiculous. Is super ridiculous. Then that doesn't even take into account, and this is just people in general, across the world, but specifically in Turtle Island, this is a really big thing. If y'all don't know, especially back in the 60s, but it's currently happening still, there was something called the 60 Scoop. And it was basically where the government didn't see Native people as fit to take care of their own children. So they were put into the foster care system, and white people would come in and adopt them. They did not grow up learning their languages. They did not grow up knowing any of their culture. And they have to reconnect to this day because of the 60s Scoop. And it still happens to this day, where a lot of Indigenous children are put into the foster care system, and they lose their culture and language. We already had to talk about ICWA, the Indian Child Welfare Act, and how important that is to help keep Indigenous children with Indigenous tribes. Now, I'll give you that at least Lilo stays on the island with somebody who is, I'm guessing, Native Hawaiian. But to be honest, it's still disrespectful to the story, because Nani is a hard-working big sister who does everything in her power to make sure she's taking care of Lilo. And yes, Lilo's difficult. Little sisters are difficult. I'm a little sister. We're difficult. But she does everything in her power as a Native Hawaiian woman to take care of her little sister after her parents passed, after their parents passed. And when Stitch comes along, Stitch really puts them together and makes it so that Lilo can stay with Nani and they can have this life together on the island. And then Stitch becomes part of that family. And it's beautiful. I'm also hearing that, where's the drag? Pleakley, drag, it just goes together. Disrespectful that you didn't add that in there. Straight up disrespectful. I'm hearing Jumba doesn't have the right accent. I'm hearing a lot of things that are just not working with me. And I'm a big fan of the original Lilo and Stitch. And I even like to watch some of the deleted scenes from the original Lilo and Stitch, because that even more, which I wish they had left this in, but that even more talks about the colonization of Hawaii and the tourism of Hawaii. And it's ridiculous that Disney thinks it's okay to make movies based on real cultures that are still living to this day, about real topics that are still happening to these cultures to this day, and fumble it and mess it up completely. Again, I had no intention of really going to see this movie because it's an abomination and it's disrespectful. But come on. Come on. Like, this is a slap in the face to Native Hawaiians and indigenous people in general. And Disney just needs to stop touching Native stories because they can't do them right. They couldn't do Pocahontas right. Moana was cute, but like, let's get real. They're gonna mess up the live action. They are. And even though Lilo and Stitch was really good, they clearly cannot do it in live action, which makes no sense. It's literally right there. It's literally right there. So I just don't think that anybody should go see this movie because it's disrespectful to Native culture. And they need to really not touch Native and indigenous stories of any culture, because you don't do it right. You never do it right. And I don't need that anymore. So if you were thinking about going to see the live action Lilo and Stitch, I don't think you should do that. And plus, as somebody who wanted to do marine biology when she was in high school and was thinking about it heavily, but decided not to just because I'm not really good at math or science and I have dyslexia and all these things, and it was just a thing, I actually looked up where there were marine biology schools. And there are marine biology schools on the islands. She did not need to go to the mainland. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. So, Disney, per usual, you fumbled the bag. And you need to stop touching Native people's stories, because you don't do a good job. You just don't do a good job. And anybody saying that this movie was good, I know what you're doing. You're sucking up to Disney, and that's just not cute. Okay? So, the movie might have been, aesthetically pleasing, but if the story's not right, we don't have a winner. Plus, they need to just stop making live actions, because stop. Can we just do an original story, 2D animation, bring it back to the 90s, the early 2000s, and just stop? Because now it's getting annoying.